All right, let's talk about a huge shift happening in finance right now. Seriously, this is big. We're at a point where climate risk isn't just some side conversation anymore. It's become an absolutely essential skill. If you're serious about a career in this industry, you gotta know this stuff.
And really, this is the whole idea right here. This one sentence, it captures a massive shift in how we think. I mean, what used to feel like some far-off environmental issue, well now it's a direct, right here, right now, financial reality. It's hitting balance sheets today.
And it's not abstract anymore either. This stuff is baked into the daily grind of finance. We're talking about the models for credit decisions, how portfolios are put together, how insurance gets priced, everything. So for anyone working in these areas, understanding climate risk, it's not optional. It's a core skill.
So, okay, this leads us to the new reality we're all living in. Think about it. Financial institutions, big investors, and especially the regulators, they're done with the old, informal way of just kind of talking about climate risk. Nope. Now they're demanding it gets measured, managed, and plugged into the system just like any other financial risk.
And just look at how deep this goes. It's not just on the surface. We're talking about everything from credit decisions and building portfolios to mandatory climate stress testing and brand new rules for insurance pricing. I mean, it is touching literally every single corner of the financial world.
Okay, now let's tackle something important, a really common mix-up. A lot of people hear the word climate and their brain immediately goes to ESG, right? Environmental, social, and governance investing. But what we're talking about here, it's a completely different beast.
This chart really breaks it down. See, traditional ESG is often driven by values. It's focused on reporting, on frameworks, it's more qualitative. But the approach we're digging into, like what's taught in GARP's Sustainability and Climate Risk Certification, the SCR, is purely risk-driven. It's not about what you believe in, it's about crunching the numbers to figure out the potential financial hit. It's a massive shift from the qualitative to the quantitative.
And that brings us to a really key concept, the risk multiplier. This is so important. Climate risk isn't some brand new separate thing. Instead, picture it as something that just turns up the volume on the risks you already have. Your credit risk, market risk, operational risk. A perfect example, a hurricane doesn't invent a new kind of risk, right? But what it does do is massively crank up the existing credit risk for every single mortgage in its path. That right there, that's the heart of this new way of thinking.
So, if this is the new world we're in, what's in the toolbox? What are the actual skills that finance pros need to have to get a handle on all this? I mean, this is the real challenge, isn't it? You can't just look at the past and expect it to repeat. With climate risk, all the old historical data, it's not enough. This stuff is all about the future, and it's super uncertain. So that means you need a totally new set of tools to deal with it.
And here it is, that new toolkit, broken down into 4 parts. First, you've got to understand the basics of climate science. Now, the goal isn't to turn you into a climate scientist, but you need to know enough to make smart financial decisions. Second is scenario analysis. This is where you model all the what-ifs to see how resilient your strategies are. Third, risk integration. This is where you actually connect all those climate impacts back to the traditional risk models you're already using. And finally, governance. You've got to have clear ownership and someone at the board level keeping an eye on it. And a huge piece of this new skill set is just getting comfortable with not knowing everything. The data you're working with is often messy, it's incomplete, it's inconsistent. The people who are really going to succeed here are the ones who can look at all that imperfect information and still make a solid call. And who know how to avoid pretending they have more certainty than they actually do. That's a huge trap.
Okay, so you've got the analysis. Now what? How does this all lead to actual action? Because look, the whole point of learning this stuff isn't to just write another dusty report that sits on a shelf. It's about actually driving real-world business and investment decisions.
And this comparison just nails it. The whole field is shifting from the role of the reporter, the person asking, okay, what do we have to report, to the role of the decision maker. That's the person asking, all right, based on this data, what are we actually going to do? It's a huge move from just being about compliance to being truly strategic.
And here's what that actually looks like in the real world. A pro with these skills isn't just vaguely talking about climate change. No, they're the one providing the hard analysis that makes a firm say, okay, we need to rebalance this portfolio, or let's change how we underwrite insurance, or hey, we need to figure out which of our assets might become stranded in the future. They are right there at the table, directly influencing where the money goes.
Which brings us to our final point, and honestly, this might be the most important one. Really understanding this shift is absolutely critical for anyone who's thinking about where their career in finance is headed over the next, say, 5 to 10 years.
I mean, this quote really says it all, doesn't it? The job market has grown up. Just having a general awareness of sustainability, that's not going to cut it anymore for the top jobs. Companies are now on the hunt for people with specialized, hard-nosed, financially grounded expertise.
This is exactly the kind of professional that organizations are desperately searching for right now. They need someone who can be that bridge between the climate science world and the CFO's office. Someone who can talk the talk on risk, who can challenge old assumptions with real data, and who has the credibility to actually influence the big money decisions.
So, we'll leave you with this thought. This change isn't coming, it's already here. Climate risk is now just a permanent part of a financial landscape. So the only real question left is, who's going to be ready with the right skills to lead the way?